It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria always picks out the appropriate song. We hear this a lot at Lenovo when we're going to a review for goaltender interference, and we rarely hear anything good.
I know, unfortunately.
Yeah. Shane Willis, you know him. You see him on TV, FanDuel, Sportsnet. I know him as a great human being, a man who has developed one of the great youth hockey programs in the NHL, and a guy who scored 20 goals. Also was traded once in the NHL, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. How are you, sir?
I am great, Adam. Trying to bring some of the good news to the show today, I guess. I mean, it's not raining. That's good, right?
No, it is not. It is not raining, and they're playing indoors tonight, so even if it did rain, it wouldn't be impacted. Do you sense that there is just this like thickness in the air right now, especially from the fan base?
Potentially, because everyone was so excited when the initial move was made, right? And everyone's talking about Mikko Rantanen today all over every sports channel of what's going on as he continues to assess the area, the team, the organization, all of those things. And, I always temper my expectations because I was a player once as well. And, every player has that right to take his time, and he's not going to be forced into something just because it's trade deadline tomorrow. But the other part of it is now you have to make a decision on, is the right time to move him now because if this package was offered from whatever team it might be, or is it better to continue to go on and then look to make that move before the draft, which is more valuable, which helps the organization more and obviously preserves it long-term more. And those are tough decisions, and why luckily I don't have to make those decisions. I just get to talk about them after they happen or don't happen. But it will not be an easy 24 hours when it comes to that decision, I think, from ownership down to the organization. But where I always go back to the fans as well, when anytime this organization has made a trade or whenever they've signed a player, they've looked at everything from the numbers to the person and talking to all of these situations, and things always come out on the right side. So I kind of sit comfortably right now, and I'm not too worried about it, whatever the decision might be.
Shane Willis is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. As a player, especially as you get, it's tomorrow. Like tomorrow at 3:00, we're done. As a player, how difficult is this time? Even if you're not a player, like Sebastian Aho probably isn't sitting here thinking, I might get traded tomorrow. But there are people in that locker room who may, including a good friend of his who might. How hard is it as a player at this time of the year?
It's a weird couple days because, as you mentioned, even if you're a guy that's not going anywhere, you're on edge because you're wondering, is there a move about to happen, one? And then is the move coming in going to be a swing to benefit us to make the final piece so we make this run? Or is it a piece going out the other way that you don't want to lose? So every player is going to have it on their mind, whether they think they're on the trade block or they're a substantial cornerstone piece of an organization, because you want to see what happened. They're not calling every player saying, hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? There's no questions asked in that room, and their job is to mentally prepare, mentally focus on tonight's game. And it weighs a lot on the coaches. It weighs a lot on the players. But you have a job at hand tonight, and that's the Boston Bruins to be ready for, to continue to get wins in the win column and solidify your place in the Metro Division.
You've scored a few power play goals in your time. If you had to analyze what has been the one problem, if there's just one problem for the Hurricanes on the power play, because if you break down the first 31 games and the last 31 games, that's basically the difference. Power play was at better than 27% for the first 31. It's at 9% over the last 31. So what do you think the biggest difference has been?
To me, it goes a little bit back to, I think, puck movement. And we've heard Rod talk about that before, of saying, he uses the basketball analogy a lot, where the ball is always moving, right? It gets the guys, all of a sudden someone's open and they shoot it. And I think the puck movement's been slow and stagnant at times. almost predictable, I think, for the penalty killing units to be like, well, they're going over here now, we'll just go block this. And then when it has been better, when they do get the shots, which I think the shot count has come up over the last couple of games, now you're losing that net front presence, not taking away goaltender's eyes, kind of making it easy for him to make those saves. And for a good power play, you have to have every one of those pieces going. I think a lot of times we overlook the fact that, oh, you have an extra guy. It should be a lot easier now. And it's actually harder because of how hard the penalty killing units work and they pressure. So everything has to be quick. Everything has to be moving, and you have to take those quality shots with guys around the net. Goaltenders see it, they're going to save it. And I think it's just been stagnant and slow over these past few weeks, and it's really cost them some great opportunities to put strangleholds on games in my mind. I don't think over this past stretch where the Hurricanes have been winning, the power play hasn't hurt them, but it hasn't helped them just have a solid grasp on some games. It's allowed teams to hang around them when they shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, well, it hurt them against Edmonton in the game that they lost, right? That first power play, look, it hasn't been great. That first power play that they had when Edmonton scored the shorthanded goal might have been the worst power play I've ever seen. They couldn't get the puck in, and then ultimately they lost it. Burns was not where he was supposed to be. It was a train wreck from the beginning. But they go 0 for 6 against Calgary, but I thought, other than the last double minor where they really didn't do much with it, I thought they generated some chances. So it wasn't soul sucking, which at this point is, kind of almost a step up because it's been bad. But you talk about puck movement and player movement, because I think it's more about forwards than it is about the guy at the top of the umbrella, if you will. I've always thought it's more about forwards. What can Aho or Jarvis or these guys do better to kind of get this thing going?
Well, I think you have to have different looks, and most of the time when the power play, if the puck's not moving, again, when you're seeing that, and the other part, Adam, I think we have to factor in, when a power play is not going your way, where does your confidence go? It goes right in the tank.
Yeah.
And when you're not getting the zone entry, and I think the Hurricanes have done better of getting the zone entry over these past few games to get set up and move it around, it's almost like you're second guessing of like, okay, what should I do now? And the point you made about the Edmonton game, I can tell you as a player, nothing worse than your first shift coming over the boards on the power play. You're not really into it yet. You're
right.
You haven't even run into anybody, and you're trying to, move the puck around quick and go tic-tac-toe. So I love the fact that if these guys are moving around, exchanging positions, I think they have to be on a movement. It should almost look a little bit chaotic to me of guys moving all over the place, up and down, quickly moving the puck, and then shooting the puck. Shane Gostisbehere talked about it tonight. Not only when we're shooting the puck, but we're on our game when we're on our toes and we're jumping and we have the puck retrieval. When the Hurricanes have had shots over these past few games, I think where the power play struggled, they haven't got the puck back, and the team just sends it down the ice.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than draining than going, you get one shot, they send it back down. You get another shot, they send it back down. Now you're changing your units up. You want to have that sustained time, and puck retrieval is key, but they have to be on their toes. They have to be snapping it around. And I do like to always put in the fact, Adam, that I think this is the type of power play when you have this type of skill, that it only takes one or two in a game where the ball really starts rolling in their direction. The confidence goes through the roof, and you start breaking down the penalty killing units of the other team.
Yeah, man. Look, if people are believers in law of averages, the Hurricanes are probably owed a few over the last several weeks. Real quick before I let you go, has the goaltending looked better to you of late?
It's one of my points on the show tonight, Adam.
Look at that.
Sports. I'm going to talk about the goalies because I agree with you. And when things are going right, you're not going to stop a team every single night from getting some grade A chances. But I'm going to look only at this last handful, right, against the Calgary team and against Detroit last game. When there was the breakdown and those teams got chances, Pyotr Kochetkov and Freddie Anderson were excellent.
Yep.
I thought Freddie Anderson was rock solid in Detroit. I thought Pyotr was phenomenal against Calgary. A very small sample size for Pyotr early in that game. But I go back to things we hear Rod talk about when he talks about quality chances. When teams have had those quality chances over these past few games, and if you go back even a little bit further, past Calgary, the Edmonton game was tough, but against Buffalo, those are the saves you have to have. and Rod knows that. These two know that. I think they're both playing very, very well right now. Pyotr Kochetkov will go tonight, and his record at home way better than on the road. So Pyotr has comfort here inside this building, and I think he'll be out there backstopping this team to another big victory against the Boston Bruins, who are banged up, injured, continue to surge, To me, the question for Boston is, do we hang around, or is this the turning point to going the other direction for the Boston Bruins? It's always going to be tough. And what I like to stress, too, as you know, Adam, these games are not going to be blowouts. When you look the rest of the season, every game is going to be a nail-biter. It's going to be tight. But Rod loved the game in Detroit, not because, hey, we won 2-1, but because his team did it the right way. The forwards were over top. The defense were standing up, and he got great saves at the end. And that's what he looks for every single night. I really like the fact that against Calgary and against Detroit, it was full 60-minute complete games from this team, and you'll need it again tonight to beat the Bruins.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I said the same thing. You would have loved, because there were more goals for Carolina in both games, if things are kind of evening out. But they won 2 games 2-1, and you're going to have to win those games at some point anyway. You're going to have to win games when your offense doesn't support you, and that's when you get to your defensive structure and you get to your goaltending, and we get to Shane Willis. I'll see you at the rink a little bit later on, man. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Adam.
You got it.